Right, jittery wreck.
I just wonder what has led us to that, right? That I must be busy, I must be looking busy, I must be doing all of these things in order to feel part of something. It almost feels like I'm missing something, that FOMO, whatever it is. I particularly don't feel that, but I hear it and I can relate to it in old industries like we're talking about in corporate America, where that desk situation was very real at the time for me. But I think where it results in is an assessment of self, of where can I cut stuff back? And that people get scared when you ask that question, oddly.
Right.
Like, what can we take off your plate? It's like, what
Right.
do you
like,
mean?
Yeah. Like as if, hey, am I not doing enough? Should I do more? And it's like, no, seriously, you look like I could really just take one thing off your plate.
Right,
like, if you don't
if
mind.
I could write
I'm,
prescriptions, it would
not
be like,
busy.
take a break.
Yeah, I'm not busy today, and if you don't mind, just go ahead and give me give me a couple things. No worries.
Yeah. So it's a busy thing too, I think.
I mean, part of it is like
The perception of busy.
I think we all like to have a sense of accomplishment, right?
Yeah.
And like it's
And
hard.
doing enough.
Correct. It's hard to move forward and like do things without trying to achieve feeling that sense of accomplishment, right? And sometimes I experience the thing I call the pylon of unproductive, where I am just legitimately unproductive for a good long while, and
Yeah.
I want to be. And, like, sometimes, you just aren't, and you can't, and you won't, and, it's about just sort of keeping the plane level and flying through that, and, like, when somebody does say, hey, can I take something off your plate? You say yes. Like, don't turn down things you want. Like, if so,
asking for help, again, another episode in itself, like teaching people just to say, hey, do you mind picking up the dog for me, is like terrifying to them. I'm putting them at a 7 out of 10 being worse, anxiety, and you're like, but it's just an ask. But it's so conditioned that it's bad to ask for help, I think. I could be wrong, but it seems like people struggle with it, and I do myself. I've always functioned wrongly so, but I'll be earnest about myself. I mean, I've worked with teams of people, and anytime, sometimes if offered help, if it wasn't done the way or efficiently, I just did it myself because it was quicker. So it does get complicated depending on who your source of help is, right?
Yeah.
And I get that. But I agree with you on the openness to try new things. Like that desk
Well, I'm glad you
thing.
pointed it out, because like under the pylon of unproductive, you often experience that, right?
too.
Like, I want this
I
done,
do.
and nobody else is going to do it right but me, right? So it's on my plate and only mine, and therefore is weighing me down, right? And sometimes it's hard to get up and out from underneath of those types of things. Like, I don't have any foolproof way of getting it up and out of from under, unproductive, but eventually it just sort of sorts its way out, right?
It does. It does. It happened to me a few times during the pandemic. And I think I told you the story of just being able to be human and how freeing that was. I was waiting on something medically and I missed an appointment. I have never in my whole career missed. It was a first. Mm. And I started to beat myself up about it. And I was like, you know what? I can utilize this as a tool. Like, I'm human too.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't have 10 years ago thought to do that. It would just be an overly 20-minute apology about... Do you know what I mean? Where I was just like, I'm human.
What I find
made
fascinating
a mistake.
about that is that, okay, so in my personal field, right? Like
right.
when I'm like coming up in the tech industry, like as I'm looking for answers to these problems, I'm like, I'm not the first. I'm not the first person to experience this, right?
Sure.
Like it has this error. Just paste it in the Google machine and get the answer out. And so when you're talking about it, when you're talking about missing an appointment, like you're not the first, right? Like, and
No.
I look at things a lot more that way because of just the way I looked at work, as a young guy in tech. Like, I'm not the first person to have this problem. I'm not the first person to miss a flight or miss an appointment, or somebody
Forget
will deal
something.
with it. I call them. I take the first step, right?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. It's really. I think it goes a lot of places, and it just shows how complex I think the human brain is. Everyone takes things in 80 different directions, and that fascinates me in itself.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot about, like I said, organization, working smarter. If you have 3 places to look for your calendar, like no longer on the wall like they used to be, but now in your phone and on your work computer, maybe on your laptop at home or whatever devices you use.
Right.
So.
Right. And I think helping, that's certainly one of the reasons I think helping people learn how to use the technology in a way that benefits them instead of complaining how it's distracting them, right?
Right.
Like, I think that is a useful point. It can be utilized the right way.
Mm-hmm.
And I agree with that. So.
Hi again. Jen and I are so excited to be doing this, and we thank you for listening. You can see articles, find our social accounts, join the conversation, and support us directly at technicallymental.com. Supporting us directly means you can bring us with you and listen inside of your favorite podcast app to full, ad-free episodes of the Technically Mental podcast. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe on YouTube. Also tap the bell if you want to be notified when our newest content goes live.